Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This two-part video is going to go over a couple of composite barrels, more specifically carbon fiber wrap barrels by Proof Research, Christensen Arms, and BSF barrels. I'm going to go over their concept and construction. I'm not comparing accuracy or crowning one to be superior to the others, seeing as how all three of these barrels are different calibers. Part 1 here will go over the details that make barrels accurate and what I think make composite barrels generally more accurate than traditional barrels. So a few years ago, I wanted to see all the hype over the Proof Research barrels for myself. So I got a 16-inch carbon fiber wrapped 223 barrel. I had a Voodoo Innovations barrel in my Santan Tactical AR and took it to a local indoor range to group it so I could compare it to the Proof Research barrel. So I grouped the Voodoo Innovations barrel at the 25-yard indoor range, and these last two were my best groups, even though I pulled this one to the left. The last group was a little bit better. After grouping the Voodoo barrel, I went home and swapped it out for the Proof Research barrel, which I made a video of, so feel free to check that out if you're interested. But when I shot the Proof Research barrel for the first time, I was very pleased. Now, I always thought I was a good shot, as do most shooters, but even only at 25 yards, I had never stacked rounds on top of each other consecutively like I did shooting this Proof barrel. So I got overconfident and I pulled the fourth shot, but the fifth shot was just below the third shot, and this was my best group. I shot both barrels at the same range, in the same lane, and both times shot the same 79 grain DRT Elite 223 ammo, and I only used a front rest. Minus the different breaks on the barrels, the Proof Research barrel was the only other variable changed, and it had cut my 5-round shot group in half. So I was a little impressed, but I wanted to know why. So I thought about everything I already knew about accuracy, and then I read up on everything that makes barrels accurate that I didn't know. Now, to start off, Proof Research, Christensen Arms, and BSF all take a match-grade barrel and they turn down the barrel radius and use carbon fiber to help increase the barrel's accuracy. Now, there are many variables that make a barrel accurate or not. For the sake of this argument and to keep the length of this video down, let's assume that the chamber, shoulder, neck, throat, lands and grooves of the rifling, and the bore are all machined as close to perfectly concentric with the best possible finishes on all surfaces. Now, with all those features as close to perfect as we can get, the next largest factor in a barrel's accuracy is its rigidity or stiffness, which is the barrel's inability to be bent or to be forced out of its shape. Now, the shorter and thicker a barrel is, the more rigid it is, and the longer and thinner a barrel is, the less rigid it is. So barrel rigidity is key, and it relates to a barrel's harmonic frequency. Now, every barrel vibrates differently or has a unique frequency that depends on the metal used, the different metal densities within the barrel, imperfections in the barrel's machining, etc. And two things that matter in the barrel's harmonic frequency is the barrel's frequency amplitude and frequency node. The amplitude is determined by the round fired and the barrel's rigidity. The more rigid a barrel is, the smaller the amplitude, and the less rigid, obviously, the larger the amplitude. The barrel's frequency node is where the frequency wave intersects the bore of the barrel when at rest. Think of it as a wave that starts at the chamber once the firing pin hits the primer and flows along the length of the barrel until the round exits the bore. To get the most accuracy out of your barrel, you need to hand load specifically for that barrel, and using different combinations of powder, kind and amount, along with the bullet type and weight, you can tune it so that the bullet exits the bore as close to the barrel's frequency node as possible. So taking rigidity into account, if a barrel is super rigid, even if the bullet doesn't exit the bore at a frequency node, you should get a tighter group. And this is how composite barrels attain their accuracy. Now, carbon fiber is a little over 4 times more rigid than steel, and that can vary higher or lower depending on the type of carbon fiber and resin used. And what the carbon fiber wrapped around the Proof Research and Christensen Arms barrels is doing is drastically reducing the barrel's frequency amplitude. The BSF barrel achieves this, though in a different way than Proof Research and Christensen Arms. But before we get into that, I wanted to address the claim that carbon fiber threads and resin conduct heat away from the steel bore, giving the barrel a longer life. Generally, carbon fiber is an insulator of heat, not a conductor, especially across the carbon fiber thread, which would be the case in a wrapped barrel, trying to conduct heat away from the bore. Now, a highly carbonized fiber with the addition of some graphites, like pyrolytic graphite, or even adding diamond to the carbon fiber, can increase the heat conductivity of the fiber to a possible 5 times that of copper, but only along the length of the fiber. Adding the right graphites or diamond to carbon fiber is most likely cost prohibitive, although seeing the price of a Proof Research barrel may make you think otherwise. Remember that I said carbon fiber is an insulator across the fiber, but can be a conductor along the length of the fiber. Looking at the two barrels that utilize the strength of carbon fiber the same, Proof Research and Christian Arms, the Christian Arms carbon fiber weave wrap barrel is most likely more of an insulator, but Proof Research doesn't use a typical woven sheet of carbon fiber. They spin carbon fiber threads directly to the turned down barrel along with their resin. Then they precision grind the carbon fiber and a bit of the barrel down to the final outer diameter to get a beautiful fit and finish. With the way the individual threads are spun onto the barrel, there's a possibility that they could claim the thermal conductivity of the carbon fiber along the length of the thread. How close to the mark I am on this or how far away I am, I'm sure I'll see the comment section light up with opinions. But that's it for this first part, and in part 2 I'll go over how BASF utilizes carbon fiber on their barrels differently to achieve the same results, along with my thoughts on the newish straight-jacketed barrels by Dracos. Well, if you liked the video, go ahead and click that like button, and don't forget to subscribe. Head on over to the Facebook page and check that out, it's a good time there. And if you think this content is worth anything, stop by the Patreon page and become a patron. Patrons get to see the videos a week in advance until they're public on Facebook and YouTube. But anyways, that's it. See you in part 2.